Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Opel Power. There he goes. It's been a while since I've done a video, but I've got a good one here for you guys now. I picked up this 1965 Opel Kadett A CarAvan a few months ago, and I've been doing a little bit of work on it here and there, but I've been saving the majority of it to do a couple of episodes on this car. I plan to show some of the build process of it, getting it back up and running, and definitely do a history video on this little car. So I'll give you a little bit of background for the overview here on this first episode. But this is a 1965 Kadett, as I said. We didn't get many of these here in the States. You're used to seeing the Kadett B more like mine over there. We got hundreds of thousands of those. We got about 33,500 plus or minus 1,000 or two, based on my calculations on some known data that I got a hold of. So not a whole lot. There were about 612,519 total made between all the body styles. That includes the CarAvan like I have here, which accounted for about 19% of production, I believe. Also, there was a sedan, which was the cheapest model. That was a two-door sedan. There was a two-door coupe, which kind of had more of a fastback design and a different front end. Also had a higher performance engine and a little bit nicer interior. There was also a kind of in-between model that was the sedan L, or Luxus. Also had nicer interior. I'm not sure if it had the S engine, the higher performance engine, or not on that one. And like I said, the CarAvan was fairly popular, but it is the most rare now because they were workhorses. They were designed to be the car that the florist in your town would use to go deliver flowers. Or I know there's only two in Germany remaining with the S engine, the Kadett Super Caravans, and there's only 12 or so of the normal Caravans left. So it's the most rare model nowadays. In the US, I know of two others in existence, so it's not a very common vehicle. But let's get into what we've got here and the kind of the specifics of this project. So first note, as you can see, the paint is, oh man, it's pretty messed up. The body's really not all that bad for such an old car. We've got a little bit of rust in the lower quarter over here. It's not a frame member though. Open up the trunk. You can see there's the CarAvan 1000 badge. A lot of space back here, and you can fold that seat down and make it even more. The gas tank is perfect. I've already scoped that out. Completely shiny chrome inside, pretty much. The trunk is fantastic. I'll try and show a photo of that in here. I got crap on top of it from working on the car. Really, the major rust areas on this specific car are right there. The spare tire well, which isn't really all that bad. You can kind of see that hole there in the bottom. There's a couple of spots along the rockers, but nothing that's too major. And then for some reason, these dang headlights rusted like heck. I don't know what happened there. I guess when this trim strip got removed, water got in there and rusted all that out. But the fenders are rusted in some really odd spots on the front. Not a big deal though. It's fixable, and it's not my focus at this time. The roof is pretty buggered. It used to have a roof rack, and I don't know what happened. The previous owner removed it and then bondoed over the holes, which obviously cracked and filled with water and rusted out all the holes. So I'll have quite a bit of work to do on this roof, unfortunately. But not too bad for a little project car that I just want to get back on the road and enjoying and back on the streets. The goal for this is just to get it back. Nice interior, nice smooth suspension, good healthy engine, and get it back out and enjoy it and restore it some more as time goes on. You know, I've got my GT in there that takes up most of my money and time, and this ongoing Kadett project as well. So this one, it's just something that I had to save. It's such a rare car here, and I really want to get it back out there so people can see it, because it may be one of the last remaining ones that can be restored or at least rebuilt, which is what I'm going for in the US. So with all that said and done, I'll go in and show you a bit of the engine area. So this is a 993cc overhead valve Opel engine. It's one of their biggest technological leaps after World War II was building this engine. It's an over square design, very revvy, really good torque band, and this whole car was meant to be a competitor to the Volkswagen Beetle, and man, they nailed it with this engine. It was cheap to build, it's got decent power for its size, and water cooled, and since the engine's in the front with a traditional rear wheel drive layout, tons of room in all of the models for storage. I can kind of show you that over here with my Kadett B. The trunks are very similar on this early B to the A models, and you can see how much crap I can fit in here. It's just massive. For reference, that ring is 13 inches. That's for a 13-inch wheel, and that is a 10-gallon or 12-gallon fuel tank. I mean, you could fit probably 5 people in here stacked with their legs cut off. So, you know, pretty good storage. And of course, you saw in the Caravan with these seats folded down, you can fit a lot in there. I'll show you inside a little bit. But yeah, sidetracked again, ADHD is real. The engine. So, like I said, overhead valve, over square, revs to 6,000 easy without modifications. The in model, which is a low compression 7.8 to 1 compression, that engine made 46 horsepower, 43, so I can't remember the exact number, but it's very close to that. Decent torque for its size. You know, it's 993cc is a pretty small thing. Mine is actually the higher performance engine. It's the S model, the 1.0S, which is 8.8 to 1 compression. There's a little marking right here that you can't see because it's covered in oil from when I ran this earlier, that says 8.8. And also down here on the tag, if I can get this thing to find it, get that out of the way, and then you see it right there on that tag, 10.0S. So that's how you know you have an S engine. Also, another quick look clue, on the intake, the higher performance engine will say 10S in a big font right there. And over here is the date of the engine. If you can see that, it says 64. So this head is from 1964. The S engine differs in a couple ways. The main difference that makes it higher compression is the head gasket goes from 1.4 millimeters on the N model to 0.7 millimeters on the S. So that's where the majority of the compression is. It also has pistons with valve reliefs, so that the higher lift camshaft in it can get some clearance, especially with that thinner head gasket. And I'm not sure, on the Kadett Bs, they had a slightly different header. I think that these are the same between the models on this on the Kadett A, but the intake has a little bit larger diameter at the carb interface, I believe. That clearly means that the carb must be larger as well. Let's see, what else? The valve material is different between them. I can't take the valve cover off right now because the linkage for the throttle's in the way, but there's a little peak at the rocker arm assembly. The way this engine works is you've got your rocker arms, and then there's push rods that go down to about midway in the engine, and then there's flat tappets riding on the camshaft. Let me scroll through down here. That diagonal piece behind the cooling hose is where the cam is. So, and you may have noticed that mine has double pulleys. That is not normal, but you could get air conditioner for this car, and this specific car had air conditioning. So yeah, 993 cc's. The S engine had 54 horsepower, and you've got a giant York compressor sitting here, if you can imagine that, taking up about as much room as the engine. There would have been an evaporator over here. Notice the large holes in aluminum tape. The condenser, notice the hole cut out of the radiator frame right here. There's also some holes cut out of the frame in the front for the condenser to mount. And there's where the dryer was mounted, right there. You can see that. So, yeah, this guy had air conditioning. I couldn't believe that, but I don't have any of the components, unfortunately, but you can see where there's been some cutout of the dash to mount it and holes drilled for it. So, yep. Air-conditioned 54 horsepower Kadett Caravan, originally sold in Lubbock, Texas. So I guess that can tell you why they went to the trouble to put air conditioner. It's quite hot in Lubbock and very sandy. But yeah, that's enough on the engine for now. We'll talk more about it as we get working on it. Single speed windshield wiper, 6-volt battery, basic front and rear drum brakes. This thing was meant to be simple and just to be a competitor to the Volkswagen Beetle. These are the original wheels I just finished cleaning up and repainting, getting some new 12-inch tires wrapped around them. It originally had, I believe it was 155 12 tires on it. These are SR12 rather. These are 155 80 12, and they fit pretty good, and I think it's like a 5% speedometer error with that size. Inside, my car would have had blue and cream interior. So I've already got some new carpet in from Germany, the dark blue here. My door panels are maybe marginally salvageable. I'll show you those in a little while. My rear ones are just completely gone. These are not the original seat materials, but they are the original seats. It would have been similar to this. It would have just been blue and probably a dark cream color or black, one of the two. I'm not 100% sold on what color this was. Headliner's obviously gone, so I didn't have any of that to go off of either. I've got the dash kind of taken apart to start working on the speedometer. I was testing it with a speedo cable and it doesn't work properly. As you speed up, this whole thing fills up like a thermometer. It's a really cool design. I like it. The water temperature gauge is 100% mechanical, so that's kind of cool. There's actually a capillary tube that runs to the engine. I found that out in the factory service manual, that the first step in removing the instrument cluster is to drain the coolant of the engine. So that was kind of funny to figure out why the heck they were telling me to do that. The gas gauge is electrical. There is a float with a cork on it and the gas tank in the back. Dead simple. And that is all you get for gauges: odometer, speedometer, water, and gas. Now down here we've got a few other things. I believe this one's oil pressure, a single light for the blinkers, so this blinks regardless of which direction you put on. This guy here is I believe the brights. It tells you if your brights are on or off. And then that is the charging indicator for the 6-volt generator. We also have a dimmer adjustment for the lights on the instrument cluster. We've got parking lights and headlights on a interconnected switch. So you can turn one off after you turn them on, but they will turn on and off together if you use them like this. So that's kind of interesting. The windshield washer is just a manually pressed bulb. Very similar to the GT, except this doesn't trigger the wipers automatically like the GT. It's literally just a rubber bulb. There would have been a foot switch down here for the headlights to turn the brights on or off, but mine is missing that. I suspect that's probably what this toggle switch is for. This does have a horn in the center here. You can press this in, but the previous owner somehow rigged up 2 buttons to activate the horn using lamp cables, and you have to press both of these in order for it to work. I have no idea what on the earth they were thinking. This switch is blocked off. It's you can add anything to it. This is your 1-speed windshield wiper. This is a cool little panel here. This is for your heater control, which my heater is missing, so that's one thing I've got to get replaced. But this little guy here, this is the blower motor control. So you've got off, half speed, full speed, and then this allows you to change the temperature and whether it's defrost or coming down to your feet. Very simple. In order to use the heater, there's also one more little thing. There it is. This handle right here opens and closes the cowl vent. I'm not sure if we can see that in here, but I'll show you that off the car. Standard 3-pedal layout. Clutch is cable operated and it does function. The brakes on this car actually do hold pressure, but I've got to get a rebuild kit for the master cylinder because it's blowing out of the back. So I haven't been able to adequately bleed the brakes yet. Oh yeah, and there's the windshield washer bottle. And then it goes up to the center of the hood. You've got a single squirter, dual windshield wipers, you know, your normal stuff. Back in here, see what else we've got. We've got a very small ashtray. Radio, mine did not have a radio. It had this block-off plate, so there you go. It wouldn't have had these 2 buttons here that, like I said, this was the horn thing that the previous owner did. Block-off plate for the optional clock. And a nice glove box. So, the Sport Coupe actually had a locking glove box, but you didn't get that on these. Oh, and here's about the last remaining piece of the interior. So as you can see, here's how I know it had cream or white interior along with the dark blue. But yep, that's it. 4-speed stick down here. Needs some rebuilding. And there's your e-brake down here. The seats are not installed correctly right now. Let me get out of here for you. I just have them sitting in the car, but there is a hook that you would grab down here, and yeah, you can kind of see it right there where my hand is, and you grab that and pull up, and these seats rock forward so you can get your passengers into the car. And it's actually fairly roomy back here. I'll climb in here and kind of show you what it would look like. So that's pretty close to the seating position where it would be. I'm not a very big guy. I'm 5'10" or so, but there is pretty comfortable headroom and everything in here for someone of my height. If you're 6 feet tall, you wouldn't like the back of this car, but you probably wouldn't like the back of any car made in that era, except for a convertible. So there's that. Lots of legroom in the front, which is pretty nice. The seats are adjustable forward and back, but I don't believe they're adjustable in any other way. And one kind of fun thing is if you have a lot of luggage back here and your driver hits the brakes really hard and you're a child and can't brace yourself, you're going to get crushed because this seat just is held in by rubber bushings in the back and you're just going to end up flying forward. So that's kind of fun. All right. So you got your nice grab handle so you can get out of here. Sliding rear windows, which I can't get to operate because the rubber is so destroyed. Here's one major area we're going to be replacing down there. Quite a bit of rust on the floor pan on this side. The rest of the floor pan is in pretty good shape. I'll show a picture of that. But that's about it. I need a lot of parts. Headlights, taillights, light housings, chrome bits, you name it. All of the rubber bushings. I'll give you a look under here if I can get the camera to focus. Yeah, so you can see the trunk there. Very, very good shape. Very happy about that. We do have a bit of rust on this frame rail that the leaf spring mounts to. I'll be addressing that with some kind of strengthening plate running through the car. Rest of it looks really quite great. Rear end is 3.89 to 1. You've got your normal shock absorbers along with the leaf spring setup. What's also kind of cool on this car is it's got a torque tube, just like the Opel GT and the later Kadetts. This one's a little different though. Can't see very good on this little camera screen, but there's a central joint down here that you may be able to see. That towards the axle is a torque tube, and towards the transmission is one of the oddest things I've ever seen in a car. You can't see it under here, but I'll show a picture. This doesn't have a transmission mount per the normal, rubber mount that you would expect. Instead, it has a solid steel tube that runs from the rear of the transmission to that central joint. Inside the tube is a standard propeller shaft. It's not, it's standard drive shaft. It's not a torque tube. That outer tube's job is to support the transmission. Very unique. I'm not sure why they did it that way, but kind of cool, I guess. Like I said, this car does run. I'll show a little video of that. And I'm expecting we're going to have a pretty good time getting this fixed up back on the road. So I think that's enough time for this first video. Stay tuned, and I'll keep putting more out as I get more parts and spend more money on this little money pit. So until next time, thank you guys.